Yeah, this is Steven Anderson. If you're unfamiliar, he did an interview with this USA Today guy here. I don't remember his name now. And this dude is just asking him point blank some of these questions. They're just wild. Dude on the right does soul winning. He goes door knocking. He goes door to door asking people to be part of his church. Seriously.
Have you always hated gay people? Is it something your father taught you, or is it something that you came to on your own?
You know, people usually call this a loaded question when asked by a reporter, but Steven Anderson doesn't seem to think it's loaded. He just runs with it.
No, I haven't always. You know, I grew up in a Christian home, but...
No, I hate gay people now, apparently.
It wasn't until I read the Bible cover to cover at age 17 that I discovered the truth of what the Bible really says, because a lot of passages don't ever get preached from the pulpit because they're simply not popular.
Or because there are literally 6 that mention being gay. Even mention it at all. 6 out of 32,000 verses. So I think the reason that the verses about being gay, I mean, those 6 verses aren't even all negative about being gay. They just mention it to any degree at all. But I think the fact that there are only 6 is the reason why they don't get preached about very often in some churches, because they're not really the focus of Jesus' ministry. I mean, you are a Christian, aren't you? You follow Christ Jesus. You're a Christian. Anyway, yeah, this guy shows up to people's doors right here. Him knocks on people's doors, says, "Please come to my church." That's psychotic, bro. Dude, imagine this guy showing up to your door and saying, "Come to my church."
Honest, when I heard your sermon, it sounded like the rantings of someone who was either a hate monger or a religious zealot, and I'm wondering, which are you?
Another question that would be considered a loaded question in any other context. Are you a hate monger or a religious zealot? People don't like to be labeled as either typically, but not Steven Anderson.
Well, I'm a religious zealot, and, you know, I love the Bible. I love God's Word. I believe that the law of the Lord is perfect. And, you know, Leviticus 20:13 clearly says, if a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with the woman, both of them have committed an abomination, they shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them.
Wait. Okay, so that was Leviticus 20, right? Why is he reading the Mosaic Law? He's reading the Mosaic Law right now, isn't he? That was abolished, done away with. We don't follow that anymore because Jesus came and fulfilled it. Quick interjection, this won't take long. If you like what I do, I'd appreciate it if you watch the video to the end. YouTube bases video reach off of watch time, so watching even an extra minute makes the video go further. Liking and subscribing goes a long way too. Finally, it would be awesome if you guys checked out my Patreon. All links are in the description, of course. Okay, back to the video. When Jesus died for people's sins, he fulfilled the old law. If you're going to follow the old law and read from that book about lying with mankind, so on and so forth, then you can't eat shellfish either, right? You're not going to eat pork. You're not going to wear cotton and linen blends. Not going to put 2 literal seeds in the same literal hole, or metaphorical even. No, he just picks and chooses which ones he wants to follow. He eats pork. He eats shellfish. He breaks the Mosaic Law all the time. He just wants to follow that one, so he's going to.
You know, as a Christian, I believe the Bible, and that's where I get my belief.
Now, doesn't the 10 Commandment, isn't the first commandment, thou shalt not kill?
No, the first commandment is thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Okay,
but of course...
Is thou shalt not kill one of the commandments?
Yes, it is, but...
Right, because Steven Anderson wants to kill gay people. Like, seriously. And this guy's showing up to people's doors. Like today, right now. Knocking on them. Yesterday was Saturday. He probably got a group together to go soul winning, as they call it. Go knock on people's doors like Jehovah's Witnesses. That's some scary shit right there, man. That's reason right there to live in a gated community. And if you don't have enough money to live in a gated community, build a gate. And put a do not trespass sign or I will shoot you or something like that. Like, if you come onto this property uninvited, then I will pull my gun out and stick it in your face. Should probably get one of those to keep this guy off your property. No, in all seriousness, don't mistreat anybody who's out there pounding the pavement. I did that myself for years, 18 years. I was out there knocking on doors, and it sucked. I didn't like it any more than anybody else. It's not a fun situation. I just don't want to open my door to find this dude right here. Really.
What you have to understand is that the Bible
Now he's going to justify killing gay people. You ready? Here's his justification for killing gay people.
Yes, it is. But what you have to understand is that the Bible commands that certain people be put to death. Not by me, not by Christians. It's obviously not my job or
Obviously, right?
job of any Christian to go out and kill anybody, and I've never taught anything like that.
Totally.
But rather that the government's job is to punish criminals and to execute those who committed capital crimes. And according to the Bible, homosexuality is a capital crime, and I didn't write the Bible.
What if, irony of ironies, it turned out that you had a gay son or a gay daughter? Would you?
Well, I mean, he's talking about capital crimes and all that. That's Mosaic law. Jesus fulfilled that. That we don't follow that anymore. Why is he reading that verse? Why is he reading Leviticus? Well, it's mentioned in Genesis 19, I think. Quick note before we continue, I want to let you know I just wrote a book. If you want to check it out, owenmorgan.com/book. It's a book about my experiences within Jehovah's Witnesses. It's completely understandable if you know nothing about Jehovah's Witnesses. And if you're a Christian, it's a good reference to use for why Jehovah's Witnesses are wrong about their interpretation of the Bible. The last chapter of the book is 100 questions that I have for the governing body. I'm selling the last chapter separately as its own separate guide if you guys want to get that too. So check it out, owenmorgan.com/book. I'd appreciate that. Genesis 19 was the mention of Sodom and Gomorrah. By the way, that was just like they destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, or God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah because of its ill treatment of the poor, not because of anything related to being gay. Then we've got Leviticus 18 and 20, Mosaic law. Don't follow it anymore. Irrelevant. Then we've got a letter to the Corinthians, I think 2 Corinthians maybe. Then we've got, I think, 2 Timothy, or 1st or 2 Timothy. And then we've got the Romans verse. Tons of reasons for each of those why they're completely irrelevant, but I don't even feel like going down that road right now. The point is, this guy wants to, well, I guess he doesn't literally personally want to, but he wants gay people dead. Imagine this dude coming to your door. Holy Christ on a cracker, bro. I don't know what I'd do. I would certainly tell him to GTFO, at the very least. For fear that he might come back later that night, I probably wouldn't prank him or anything. I would just say goodbye, don't come back. And by the way, if you don't want a Jehovah's Witness coming to your door, it's real easy. I talk about this in my book, by the way, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, and I wrote a second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses. You don't have to get the second one if you get the first one. The second one is the last chapter of the first. Anyway, I talk about it. There's an easy way to prevent Jehovah's Witnesses from bothering you. All you got to do is ask them to put you on the do not call list. That's it. They've got a list of homes that people have requested, like, put me on the do not call list. They don't go to that house for like another 10 years just to make sure that, like, you still live there or whatever. Anyway, this is Tommy McMurtry. He also teaches all the same stuff as Steven Anderson. He is also one of Steven Anderson's preachers because they're New Independent Fundamental Baptist Church, NIFB. It's a whole branch of Christianity. And he's an NIFB pastor, the leader of one of the NIFB churches. Steven Anderson, I believe, started the NIFB, so they all have the same beliefs.
We know there have always been homos. We know they have always been around.
Almost like Edward James almost? Is that what he's saying? There have always been Edward James almoses around?
Oh, there have always been homos. We know they have always been around. We've read the book of Genesis. Okay. Nobody's saying they're never around, but there was a time when society, when our country saw them for what they were, and they put them in their place 6 feet under. And unfortunately, we have forgotten that in our country.
Absolutely disgusting. But it should draw a pretty distinct picture for you about who these people are. They are hate mongers. They're violent. They're religious zealots. And they misinterpret the Bible. They use the Bible as a weapon for their enemies. You know that there's no there's no moral position that the Bible espouses that isn't reversed a chapter later, basically. Because it's made up of 66 books, 27 New Testament books, written by dozens of authors over thousands of years, or hundreds at least, maybe 1,000 years, of varying wealth, varying status and positions of kings and, poor people, beggars, so on and so forth. They all wrote all of this stuff, and they all had different perspectives. If you want to hold a position, you can find a verse to support it. So I think it's pretty obvious, like, what these people really feel, what they want, right? Pretty clear to me what Tommy McMurtry, what Steven Anderson, what Eric Metaxas is into and how they feel about certain issues and everything else. We need look no further than the verses that they quote. I see your Leviticus 18 and I counter you. We don't follow the Mosaic law. And I also point out that Jesus didn't say a god-fucking word about gay people. And trust me, there were plenty of gay people around at the time. There were. I'm sure Jesus knew his fair share of gay people. Anyway, the point is, their positions betray their moral beliefs. They're not basing their morals on the Bible. They're basing their interpretation of the Bible on their morals. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments.